Salutations, Dufos. This is your fabulous leader, the Queen of Shade, coming at you with another special presentation. I am so ecstatic about this presentation tonight because I have someone you just absolutely have to meet. I am so excited about bringing this person to you. This person has a very triumphant story and is amazing as it is in fashion and is just a creative and just so much. And I enjoy this person so much. So without further ado, I am going to introduce you guys to brand name, Patreq. Hi, how are you tonight?
Queen, and thank you for that amazing and should I say fabulous intro, darling.
My pleasure, my pleasure. I'm so excited. I have been waiting for this interview today all day because of the phone conversation we had in depth a couple days ago. You have such a great story, and I just can't wait for you to share it with us. So let's start off with, where are you hailing us from right now?
Brooklyn, New York.
Brooklyn, New York.
Williamsburg.
Okay. And
very important to throw that Williamsburg in there.
Oh, it is? Why is that so important? Tell me.
It's an up and coming neighborhood, and it's a neighborhood of creatives. So there's artists, makeup artists, photographers, furniture makers, craftsmen, actors. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So where are you from originally?
I'm originally from a small town called Paducah, Kentucky.
Wow, Paducah, Kentucky. Well, that's nice. So back to New York. I can't wait to tell them why you're there. So I'm going to say it. For the last 30 years, I believe.
Go ahead.
Patreq is a fashion designer.
Yes.
Yes, for the last 30 years. And I want to tell you, I came across, so when I came across Patreq's page on Instagram, I was losing my mind over the pattern work and over the little shorts and just all kinds of the gowns and just all kinds of things that he was creating. But what really drew me in was his demand. And it wasn't even just a demand, it was more of a command for you to respect the art of fashion designing. That you couldn't get something for nothing, and that fabrics, whether it be silk or rayon or cashmere or whatever it is, feathers, it all cost. He drew me in with that. So talk to us a little bit about how it has been to be a fashion designer for 30 years. How'd you get your start? Let's start there.
So it's been a little over 30 years.
Yes.
If we count my start, I started sewing at age 12 in my small town of Paducah, Kentucky. And interesting story, my mother used to shop at yard sales a lot. And we would go on the weekends, Saturdays and Sundays. And my job was to pick out the places to shop in the newspaper, because my mother was born in the late 1920s in Mississippi. So during that time, it was they were still dealing with Jim Crow and white supremacists. And my mother remembers going to school and seeing Black bodies hanging from trees. Ooh. So, and churches being burnt and schools being burned because Black people were not allowed to educate themselves and read. So it was still an issue even then when my mother was born. Yeah. And so her reading wasn't that good, so that was my job. Mm-hmm. And I remember that Saturday morning, it was a late spring morning. It was dewy, misty out, and the sun was bright though. And I picked the first one that we picked, we went to, and as we pulled up in front of the house, there was this old cast iron body Singer sewing machine sitting in the middle of the yard. And I remember looking at it, and in a 12-year-old's mind, this is how it looked to me. It looked like there was this beam of light coming down from the sky, shining on the sewing machine, so nothing else, was illuminated. And it was like, ah, angels singing. And I said, oh my God, a sewing machine. And I'm like, Mom, I want the sewing machine. And she's like, no, we're not getting a sewing machine. You don't even know how to use a sewing machine. I said, yes, I do. She's like, no, we're not getting a sewing machine. We're here to get school clothes and dishes. And I was like, ugh. So I threw my fit and I won. And she got the sewing machine. I think she paid $15, $18 for it at the time.
Mhm.
And the lady who sold it to us threw in a box of fabrics and patterns. And so I took it home and I tested it out. I sewed my finger the first time.
I was always worried about that.
And my mother heard the noise, because I kind of yelled out like, and I didn't want to, scare her because she's gonna take it away from me. And so I turned the crank and I got the needle out of my finger and wrapped it up and continued to try and sew. So I had to figure out how to replace the needles. I figured that out and got the sewing machine functioning again. And I took one of the patterns, and there was this lavender polyester fabric that was in the box. And I used that and laid it out and cut pants from it, but I didn't like the way that the pants fit. So I had a pair of Calvin Klein jeans. Love Calvin Klein. And remember this part about Calvin Klein because it's going to be important later.
Mm-hmm.
So I took the Calvin Klein jeans apart, stitch by stitch, and ironed those pieces out and used that as the pattern. And I made a pair of lavender, I guess you would call jeans. And so now it's like, oh, these are cute. I'm going to wear them to school. But I need a shirt. I don't have a shirt. And so I said, you know what would really look good with lavender in the springtime? White. So I don't have any white fabric. So I'm looking in my closet trying to figure out what can I use to, make a white shirt. And I go to my mother's linen closet and she had these crisp white terry cloth towels. So I took like 4 of those and I made me a front and a back and the sleeves and I made a shirt. And then I took a strip of the Calvin Klein blue jeans that I had left over and I put a patch of the denim across the front about this wide, and I took the machine and sewed my name into it.
Wow.
Now, at the time, I was just creating. And it wasn't until that Monday morning that I came downstairs to school with the outfit on. And my mother said, where did you get those clothes? And I said, I made them. I told you I know how to use the sewing machine. So I really didn't, but I figured it out. And it wasn't until I got to school, because growing up, in a small town during the 70s,
Yeah.
I was picked on like a lot of people who are different.
Yeah.
And, but when I went to school that day, all of a sudden I'm a point of attraction for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's like, ooh, ooh. And, then all of a sudden they liked my outfit. And the bullies were even quiet. They didn't have anything to say. They weren't picking and making their insults. And I thought, and that really gave me confidence, that boosted my confidence level and gave me something that was my own that none of them could take away with their bullying and their picking. And I didn't realize until years later what I had done at age 12. Everybody else saw this like, oh my God, I can't believe you did that. I didn't see it that way. To me, it was like it was something I'm supposed to do. Why is it so special to everybody? This is what I'm supposed to do. That's how I saw it. But now I understand as I got older, I'm like, oh, I see. A 12-year-old who's never been taught how to sew learns how to sew. I get it. All right.
you know, that no, I'm not even, no. So continue. So at that point, you're making your clothes now. So tell us how growing up was, because I just want to hear more. I love you. It's just, I love you.
Thank
I
you.
just, yes, you.
I love you too, Queen.
Thank you. I love you more.
So, by age 16,
Yes.
I was in my room in my mother's house, and we lived in the projects, by the way.
Yes.
My mother was a housekeeper. My daddy was a naval officer who um, um, he worked in horticulturist. Am I saying
Yeah. Yeah. Horticulture. Yeah. Plants and stuff. Horticulture. Yeah.
so he did that for this florist that's really big in our town called Cherry Florist. And it's no longer there. It burned in a fire about 10
Oh.
years back. Yeah. So, so that's what my father did. And so by age 16, wow, a lot of my classmates and peers were struggling to get to college and find a job working at the local fast food restaurant. I'm in my room sewing for their parents, hemming pants, fixing zippers, sewing on buttons, making a shorts or a simple shirt or little wrap dresses, and it was making my money that way. So by age 16, I had actually, again, I didn't know because these weren't the type of words that we heard in my community.
Mm-hmm.
But I know now that I was a 16-year-old entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And so my mother's boss, my mother worked, she had two jobs. She was a housekeeper for upper scale white people's homes and upper class, I'm sorry. Um, and she also worked as a sous chef for a high-end gourmet restaurant. And that was a mom and pop shop, which is something they call it today. But so his wife, she made cakes. She had a bakery adjacent to the gourmet restaurant, and they had two boys who were 5 years older than us, I think. And because it was difficult for my mom to have those two jobs and find sitters all the time, her employer at the restaurant was like, bring the kids in, they can play with our kids. And so she would bring us to work with her. So we grew up at the feet of a, gourmet chef. And there was always these great aromas in the air. And one of my favorite things was when he baked the zucchini bread.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
and so by the time I turned 16 and was doing all this sewing for everybody, my mother had told him about it, and he came to me for his grand opening. He was finally opening a restaurant because at the time, his restaurant was in the basement of his house.
Right.
So he decided to separate that from the house and get an actual restaurant, brick and mortar location.
Right.
And he had a grand opening. So he came and asked me, a 16-year-old, to make him a suit. And he brought me the fabric and this pattern. I was like, oh God, I don't know what I'm doing. I've never made a suit. And so I took on the challenge anyway, because I was doing all this sewing for all these people, and all these people were saying, oh, you're so talented, oh, you're so genius and everything. My confidence was up. So I really believed I could do it, And so I said, I'll do it. And he gave me the fabric and everything, and I put the suit together, and I could see it wasn't, I'm like, this doesn't look like my daddy's suit. What did I do wrong? It's not. And so he comes and he's like, oh, Patreq, thank you so much. It looks wonderful. It's amazing. Oh, you did such a great job. And he paid me. Now I am a 16-year-old. And this, we're talking about, in the 80s, he gave me $300. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm rich. So
Right.
And I stuffed it in my teddy bear. I had this teddy bear, and I stuffed it in the teddy bear, and the teddy bear always hung on the wall above my bed. And And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I made $300 sewing. I love sewing. So, but he believed in me so much. And I think he understood the the sensitivity of youth and the importance of reinforcing positive things, especially when they're doing something that's good.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why he didn't, point out, all the mistakes, even though I knew they were there. And he wore the suit
Oh, wow.
because prior to me making the suit for him, he had hired me as a dishwasher part-time at his restaurant. And so I was there for the grand opening. And he wore it.
Oh my
He
God.
wore the suit. And so I was like, oh my God, I can't believe that. So my job as the dishwasher didn't last long because I wanted to do dishes and set the dishes up the way I wanted to. And apparently you can't do that in somebody's restaurant. And so, and he kept telling me not to do it, and I kept doing it anyway. I'm so rebellious that way. But so he let me go, which was fine. But he also over the summer, he and my mother and our art teacher, and now listen carefully, an art teacher named Miss Cherry.
Okay.
They put me in special art classes, so that's why my drawing skills are what they are, because I started learning to draw at age 16, really good.
Right.
Well, actually, I think the art classes came at age 14. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then he paid for me to go to acting classes at the local acting school there, which is called the
Wow.
Market House Theater, which is still there to this day, and they still teach acting classes there to this day. And he paid for me to do that. And so it wasn't until years later that I put two and two together and realized that the art teacher, Miss Cherry, was also the owner of Cherry Florist, where my father worked.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, okay.
They're helping you. Yes.
Because she didn't run the florist, her husband did.
Right.
Her husband and my father ran the florist.
Right.
I didn't put the two together. Yeah, so that's how that ended up working out. Because I was always wondering, why is this art teacher so nice to me?
So nice to me. Right.
And yeah. So that's what it was. So yeah, and they've all since passed away. My mom, my dad. My dad passed away first. I had a brother who's 20 years old. He passed away.
Okay.
I mean, not 20 years old. 20 years older than me.
Mm-hmm.
He passed away. And then my father passed away months prior to my brother passing away.
Right.
And Miss Cherry Flores, I told you it burned down.
Burned down.
Miss Flores, she died like 5 or 6 years ago.
Okay.
That's right. And so then from there, from age 16 up until around age 26, 27,
Yes.
I kind of was wandering around, and I was the kid who I was in my room sewing or drawing or making something, decorating my room. The way you see my space behind me,
Yeah.
the same way all my life as a child. I was mature.
Yeah.
For my age, I was very mature for my age.
Yeah.
Unlike a lot of my peers
Peers.
during that time. And so my focus was, clean my room, stay organized. I was the kid who, nobody wanted their vegetables given to me. I'll eat them. Love vegetables, love them. And so I focused more on self-improvement, becoming a better person socially and spiritually.
Yeah.
And in doing that, though, it caused me to be an outcast.
An outcast.
Because
Yeah.
you know how it is. So just
Yeah.
we're always seen as weird and
Weird.
different, and nobody
Strange.
gets us.
Yeah.
And so it's like, but it wasn't so bad that I couldn't function. It didn't bother me that much,
Yeah.
surprisingly. And it still doesn't to this day. And
Yeah.
I think it's so important to know, if I could throw in a little wisdom bomb here.
Yeah.
It's so important to not be concerned about being liked.
Yeah.
If you can understand that and hold on to that and believe in that and be okay with not being liked, you can survive bullying. You can survive, being outcast because you're gay or because you're this or because you're tall or because you're fat or, you know, you've got to learn to be okay with not being liked. What's important is that you like yourself.
Right.
All right.
Right.
So, and I had that. I liked myself a lot, and I still do to this day.
I love it.
I'm in love with some Patreq, honey.
I love
Oh,
it.
and that is so important. And of course, growing up, I didn't realize that then, but it was obviously there, even though I didn't know that that was important. It was there, and that's how I made it through, the bullying and the racial discrimination
Right.
and being the dark skinned Black person and
Right.
being the gay guy, and then at age 16 being the high school dropout,
Right.
you know. And now, if you look today, I didn't know. I was 10 years old when my mother, she's from the South, Mississippi Baptist through and through. So, you go to church.
Yeah.
And one Sunday we go to church for Bible study, and we get to the chapter where they're talking about Jesus and
Okay.
his woolen hair and
Here
his
you
burnished
go.
bronze his burnished bronze skin and
Yeah.
his eyes like flame. And for me, I got it. So I don't know how everybody comes up with this image of a blonde man, who's obviously white, named with blue eyes, named Jesus. You know, and so I came home and I pointed to the picture of the white Jesus my mother had on the wall, big as fuck. And I'm like, who is this? She said, don't do that. Don't blaspheme. That's the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I said, okay, he might be that, but that's not the guy that they described to us in church.
You know
And
what?
so from that point on, my mother didn't bother me about going to church or nothing. And again, as a child, I don't know what's going on. I don't know that that's not common for a Black mother not to enforce, religion. I didn't know that. So thank you, Mom. My mother and father didn't push those things. At
Right.
age 8,
Yeah.
I'm going back, then I'll come back.
Yeah, that's okay.
At age 8, I remember my father coming for my birthday, because him and my mother never married. I don't know why.
Right.
And they never lived together while I was born. I don't, so I don't even know how that happened, and I never really found out. But anyway, so my father comes for birthday, and my eighth birthday, and he comes to take me to the toy store. Well, it was a department store that had a toys section.
Right.
And you had the girls and the boys' toys, on the shelf, but they were on different aisles, but they were on the same, row.
Yeah.
And so he's a guy, naval officer. He takes me to the boys' toy section. And, of course, he's thinking footballs, baseballs,
Uh-huh.
G.I. Joes, and Tonka trucks.
Uh-huh.
And I'm sitting there pouting, and he's like, okay, what do you want? So I run around to the girls' aisle, and I point to the Barbie doll. He said, okay, that's what you want. I said, yes. He said, okay, get it. I said, and she got to have some cute clothes. I got to get her some outfits. So, and he went to the counter, and I remember the cashier. I'm little, so, and they're adults, but whatever transpired, I remember my father saying, "What's the problem? Ring it up." So
Oh.
apparently, she hesitated at him
Mhm.
buying his son Barbie dolls.
Right.
And so, in that lesson, again, as a child, I didn't know what
Right.
what a big deal that was that my father had done that. I didn't
Right.
know,
Right.
and because my father and mother were not those kind of people who were fixated on, oh, he shouldn't play with dolls, oh, he shouldn't be sewing, oh, he should. They
Thank
just weren't
God.
like that. I thank God. I have most. That they are the most amazing parents in the history of the world, as far as I'm concerned, as far as
Yes.
what I've seen.
Yes.
And so, and as far as what people believe parents should be,
Mm-hmm.
so no, my parents is what parents should be.
Yeah.
So, I didn't realize that too much later what he had done in that moment at age 8 by buying me those Barbie dolls. And so I remember at age 17, I had a white friend named Joey, who he came to me one day frantic, and Joey used to go cruising
Okay.
at the waterfront in our neighborhood.
Okay.
Right now, I didn't know anything about cruising.
Right.
I really didn't. I didn't know the gay terms. I didn't know any of that. And it was kind of gay, this was in the late 80s, mid to late 80s. So these were new terms to me,
Right.
so I'm not getting them.
Right.
And so I don't know, because it's, gay culture was just starting to put a face on itself, so,
Yeah.
and so all these terms are coming out. And so anyway, so he comes to me and he says, yeah, there's this guy bullying me. Can you go to the waterfront with me? I'm scared. I said, oh, well, let's go. I don't care who he is. Let's hit it. So we go down, we go down to the waterfront, and there's this guy and these two girls, and sure enough, they're bullying. I said, so let me tell you what we're gonna do.
Uh-oh.
I'm gonna walk by myself, and I'm gonna introduce myself to them, and we're gonna start talking, and then I want you to come walking by later. So he does it, and the guy, sure enough, oh, here's this fag. I told him not to have this queer ass down here. I was gonna beat his fucking ass. I said, oh, really? Well, I'm a fag too, and 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 you're gonna beat his ass. I'm gonna beat yours. How that works? And so him and the girls jumped up. Oh, y'all want to fight? Y'all want to fight? So we were by. There's a railroad right there, and there was a one of those fags. And I don't know if people know this. The wood that goes across the whole
Exactly.
fags.
They're called fags.
I grabbed one of those fags and was going to beat his ass with it. So they took off running, and they never bothered Joy anymore. And I can tell you, I was scared to death. But
We always are.
right, but I was not about to let. I hate when somebody bullies people into not being able to be who they want to be. Oh, you
Right.
can be who you want to be, but I can't.
Right.
That's a problem for me. And
Right.
I will fight. I will fight Dwayne Johnson for if I have to, because we're not gonna do that. So, but I tell you those stories, and then we're going to move forward. I tell you those stories to point out how those things helped me in life.
Yes.
And so the situation, the moment with my dad and buying the dolls, and
Yes.
with Joy, and then this moment where Joey came to me again, and he was crying, had a bag full of his clothes in a garbage bag, and I said, "What's going on?" And he's like, "Oh, my dad threw me out because I came out of the closet." And I said, "Oh my God." I said, "Okay, I'll tell you what, right now we're going to get on the phone and we're going to call Child Protective Services." Joy said, "Wait, why?" I said, "It's against the law for your parents to keep you in a closet." I don't know the terminology. And he looked at me baffled, and I'm looking at him like, what? Are we going to call him or what? They can't do that. And he's like, no, I told them that I was gay. And I'm going back and forth with him like, well, what about you being trapped in the closet? And he's like, so I tell you these stories because for me, looking out on
Wait, Patreq, I need a moment. You got me doing the old Stitch laugh here. I'm so okay, I gotta keep it together. All right.
So because I couldn't relate to it because that wasn't happening in my house.
In your house, right?
And I wasn't exposed to that.
Right.
I heard the little whispers and the talks from some family
Right.
members,
Right.
but it was never, oh, you're gonna burn in hell. It was never, it was
Right.
never. I never was exposed to that.
Thank God.
So it defied logic for me to hear
Hmm.
it. I'm like, you speaking a foreign language to me. I don't know anything about this kind of, what kind of parents you got. So
Right.
but what I learned from those lessons is this, that I have a whole different perspective on um, um, gay culture
Hmm.
and personal choices and
Hmm.
individuality, because I wasn't exposed to it, but I was on the outside looking in, and I saw what was happening to gay people in the community
Right.
and what they were going through with their families. And I thought how tragic and how sad for them. But because it didn't, I wasn't raised like that. I have a different perspective and different experiences.
Right.
Um, and to this day, I still feel a little ostracized by the gay community.
Hmm.
Because we don't understand each other.
Right.
A lot of it I don't get, and they don't get me, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Um, but I do, and I try to share these stories with them, and sometimes it comes across, they find it offensive,
I don't know
because,
why.
oh,
I love it.
you don't know what it's like, and you don't understand. But that's what I'm telling you. I don't know.
Right. I
I
didn't
don't know
know.
what it's like.
And they're
I,
not smart enough to say, thank God you don't know. Thank
right,
God they didn't get us all. They
right,
didn't ruin us all. They didn't,
right, right.
because you can teach us how to, yeah.
And that's why I share the stories. I'm trying to explain to, whenever I run into a gay person or gay groups,
Yes.
and the conversations come up, I share my stories,
Yes.
and it's met with so much animosity and, oh, well, you're one of the lucky ones, and it's like, okay, okay, whoa. So
Right.
I'm trying to share with them, and it's not just gay community, it's people dealing with religion,
Yeah.
dealing with their parents,
Yeah.
with family members, socially, dealing with discovering your talent, whatever it is.
Right.
I'm trying to share my stories to hopefully enlighten someone so they can say, oh, so that's how you make it. That's how you do it. That's how you survive it.
Yeah.
Yes, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's your perspective. It's how you see things.
Yes.
Don't be so concerned, because all of those things, if you're having trouble finding your place in the in the marketplace, job
Yeah.
market. If you're having trouble finding yourself, in your religious sect, whatever that is, if you're having
Yes.
trouble finding yourself in your community or your whatever culture you choose to click with,
Right.
it's because you're too concerned with everybody in those groups liking you.
You're saying,
You cannot fit in and follow everybody's rule, because all these groups have different rules.
right.
Gay culture has different rules.
Right.
Religion has different rules. Okay.
Right.
You're not going to be able to please everybody all the time, anytime.
Hmm.
So it helps if you understand, okay, I don't care if gay culture doesn't like me.
Right.
I don't care if religious people don't like me.
Right.
I don't care if my government don't likes me.
Yeah.
All that matters to me is that I can maneuver through all of these groups freely without disturbance.
Yeah.
Do not impede my growth.
Yeah.
Do you, and let me do me.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's all I'm saying. And that's all I want to share, why I want to share my stories with people,
Yeah.
to help them develop the thicker skin analogy.
Yeah.
I'll toss that in here.
Hmm.
Thicker skin, be tougher. And the only way you can do that is don't be concerned with being liked. And
You,
thank God we're in an era now where, and you know this, and you do
yes.
this greatly. Thank God for you.
Thank God.
We're in an era now, thanks to social media, where
Hmm.
you can see, big people who are overweight get on, on social
And
media, and
love
they
it.
dance and they do them, because I think a lot of people are now discovering don't worry about being liked. But a lot of it is finding their tribes to cheer them on.
Yeah.
But that's still the word, that's still I need to be liked syndrome.
Right. Oh, you teaching
And
lessons.
we live in a cancel culture. So what are you
Yeah.
going to do when all those followers turn on you for some reason?
Right.
Like say somebody that's plus size, right? They're a big
Right.
person. And that person decides, hey, I talked to my doctor, I'm in a danger zone, I need to lose weight in order to survive. So now they
Right.
go on a diet. Now all those people who were following them because they were inspired by this person's obesity are now
Right.
saying, oh my God, no, he did not lose weight. Oh my God, no, she did not have
Right.
liposuction. Oh my God, oh my
Yeah.
God, oh my God. So now they want to cancel them. Now
Right.
that person starts feeling bad about their new life, their new change. And you know why? Because they were concerned about being liked.
Right. Absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
do if you can get past being liked, you can survive anything.
You're absolutely right. And
I
that's what I'm
don't
so
worry
glad.
about people liking me in the
Mm-hmm.
workplace. I came here to do a job,
Right.
and I can do this job with the group.
Right.
We can work together.
Right.
But don't expect me to like you, and I definitely do not expect you to like me. But can we work together and kiki and haha during lunchtime? You
Yeah.
know, and my kiki ha-has are genuine.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean I like you.
Yeah.
I'm being me. I
Yeah.
like me, and me is a funny, laughy, cheerful person
See,
with
you.
anybody.
Yeah.
I like me.
Yeah.
So it's important. People think that, well, if nobody likes me, then something's wrong with me, or I'm a mean person.
Mm-mm.
No,
Mm-mm.
you cannot. You just like I don't have any control over when I breathe.
Yeah.
My lungs do what they do, but
Yes.
they're part of me.
Yeah.
Then how can I think I have control over other people's lungs or their thoughts
Right.
or their feelings?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Let them be who they are, as long as they're not bothering you, they're not poking you, they're not, they can talk all the craziness they want to too.
Right.
Because guess what?
Just don't step in my space.
I got a vocabulary too, baby.
Uh-huh.
And I ain't scared to use it.
Right.
Okay, we get into a word battle all day long, boo. And just to make sure I win the battle, I keep a dictionary.
Patreq.
You feel me?
Yes, I do.
That's my point of saying that. And I know a lot of people look at me and think, oh, he's so, dramatic and whimsical.
No, I don't see it as dramatics.
Right.
I don't see it as dramatic.
But again, they think that because they think I'm concerned about being liked. Boo, sorry, I'm not.
Right.
But okay, so don't be concerned about being liked. Now let me move forward. So around age 28,
Okay.
I get a call from a factory before factories went overseas to countries. We still had factories here, especially along the Bible Belt,
Right, the Bible Belt. Yeah.
And so they said, hey, we heard that you're a seamstress. I said, yes. They said, we want to give you a job. I said, okay, yeah, all right, thanks for the call. Very funny, bye. And I hung up.
Wow.
I want you to think about this. When does an employer call you to give you a job when you haven't applied for it? So that was weird to me, right?
Right.
So about 3 hours later, this girl that works at the factory who I knew, she comes by, she said, oh my God, I can't believe you hung up on my boss. I said, oh, she said, I told them about you and they wanted to hire you. I told them how good you are at sewing. I said, oh, well, girl, you got to give me a heads up next time. I don't know who that is. So I'm like, what employer in the history of the world, even to this day, who calls a random person and offers them a job when I didn't even put in an application for the job? It didn't make sense to me. So, but hold on to that story. So remember that, and remember the story about Calvin Klein. And
The Calvin Klein.
Those stories, because it's going somewhere.
Yes, it is.
And so I'm like, oh, okay, that girl. So I did a job working in the sewing factory. And what they made was Levi's jeans, Wrangler jeans, Lee jeans.
Calvin Klein.
And no, they didn't do Calvin Klein.
Okay.
there was a fourth jean though, but so we made a lot of jeans.
Okay.
Oh, Gloria Vanderbilt.
Okay.
And so we made a lot of jeans. And so I got a job working there, and so I learned how to use industrial sewing machines, because up until then I'd only been sewing on home sewing machines.
Right.
Right, and so I got really good at that, and then the company got sold, and then the people who bought it, they wanted to, and remember this part too, they wanted to pay for me to go to school at FIT here in New York City.
Wow,
But,
Patreq.
but there was a catch.
Uh-huh.
When I was done there, they wanted me to come back.
Uh-huh.
After living in New York City
Uh-huh.
with a college degree, they want me to come back to a small ass town in Kentucky. Yeah, like that was gonna happen. And had a design department there. They wanted to start their own clothing line instead of manufacturing jeans for everybody else.
Wow.
Right. So I said, oh my God, I'm going to the So a lot of friends that I told about it weren't happy for me. Everything. Now they didn't come out and blatantly say it, but they were saying things like, "Oh, you shouldn't go to New York. It's dangerous in New York." Oh, they only had a negative point of view about the situation. So I understood that immediately, that was, that's where they were coming from. It was jealousy. Oh my God, he's finally going to get out of here.
Yeah, he's going to get out of here.
We're going to be stuck, right? So, but those same people were the ones, oh my God, I can't wait for you to get out of here. You're so talented. But now that it's happening, oh, you shouldn't go there. You shouldn't do that. You should, yeah. So I was like, okay. So I learned a very important lesson about that too. And again, I ignored them because I wasn't concerned about being liked.
See.
So I'm like, I'm going to New York, boo. Well, that didn't happen.
Okay.
The family who, I won't go into details about their business because this conversation is not about them, but they had some inner family turmoil, and so it didn't work out for them. They ended up having to go bankrupt and everything. And so it didn't happen that way, but remember that.
Yeah.
The Calvin Klein story.
Yep.
What was the second one? The job at the factory.
The job at the factory.
And then the offer to go to New York.
Yep.
So remember those three. All right.
Calvin Klein, the job at the factory, and the offer to go to New York.
Right. So I ended up wandering for a few years, and I got depressed. Ended up because my life wasn't going on. I had this vision of who I was supposed to be, and what I want to be and what I want to do, but I couldn't figure out how to make it happen. So it depressed me. I got frustrated with myself, and I got on drugs and drinking heavily and partying and just not caring. Then I got into shoplifting so that I can wear designer clothes, and then selling drugs for drug dealers. I was a drug runner, and was doing all these crazy things, and at the same time still working, still sewing, making clothes. I even did hair. I used to do hair.
Wow.
Right. Yeah. When the weave craze came in, I did a lot of crochet braids and braiding and gluing tracks in and sewing tracks. I did a lot of that.
Yeah.
And so I was making a lot of money, fashion. I was trying to create, unknowingly, I was creating this environment.
Yes. That you needed to be in.
What I needed to be in, right? So I did it that way. And of course, again, it was met with a lot of, jealousy and envy, and all this stuff. And of course, I kept doing it because I'm not concerned about being liked.
Right.
And then the jealousy got to the point to where somebody set me up, called me to their house, pretended they wanted to buy drugs. The police were waiting, arrested me. So I ended up going to prison for 5 years. They were trying to give me 20, but I fought and got the 5. I couldn't get out of it completely.
Right.
And even though they had absolutely no evidence, just a person saying.
It was because you were black from a small, town, and like.
Well, and you know what? That's not a theory.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the reason why I point this out, because again, I'm not going into a lot of details here because I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
forget about that.
Yeah.
But in the court proceedings, I saw white person after white person after white person after white person who they had evidence on. The white person admitted it. They
Yeah.
let you go with probation, 2 years probation, 3 years
Yeah.
probation,
Yeah.
drug treatment program. They
Yeah.
let go one after the other, one after the other, one after the other, one after the other,
Right.
and none of them came into court
Right.
handcuffed or in an orange jumpsuit. They
Right.
came in dressed.
Yeah.
You know, all of the people of color were sitting in the benches
Yep.
in uniforms,
Yeah.
in orange uniforms,
Yeah.
to be humiliated. And they made us sit there and watch while
Yeah.
they did that first and then handled our cases. And
Yeah.
they wanted us to see, look, we're letting all the white people go, but you
Yeah.
guys are going, yeah. So I saw the racism
Yeah.
up front. I'm not getting this as secondhand information.
Mm-mm.
I saw it. I
Yeah.
was a part of it. And I
Yeah.
think it's very important that we, again, and I'm going to make this point, then move on. It's very important too, whether you're fighting for gay rights, you're fighting for Black rights, whatever you're fighting for.
Right.
It's very important to make sure that you know what you're talking about and have the
Mm-hmm.
facts, because too quickly everybody's so quick to make, oh, everything that happens, it's because the person was gay, or everything that
Mm-hmm.
happens because the person was Black. Everything doesn't happen to you because of who you are.
Right.
Sometimes you're just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and you run into
Yeah.
idiots.
Yeah.
You run into
That's
mean,
true.
stupid people, and
Yeah.
they do it because you're gay or because you're Black. They did it because they do it to every fucking body. They just mean
Yeah.
people. So everything is not always about you.
Yeah.
So now moving forward. So I got out,
Mm-hmm.
and the whole time that I was in there. So when you're in prison, and I was in minimum security
Okay.
because I wasn't arrested for anything violent or
Mm-hmm.
anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So um, while I was there, though, while you're in prison, and I hope this information helps people. Inmates are the housekeepers. We
Oh,
do the laundry. We do our own laundry. We do,
right.
so they'll have certain designated people to do laundry in shifts, and
Okay.
so those people do all the laundry of all the other inmates.
Wow. So they seeing what you got. If you got lace panties, they seeing everything.
Well, if you got lace panties, you know somebody. So okay, you got
Right.
getting a little friendly with the guards, baby.
Right.
So, so, and the same thing goes for the food, the cooking.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, they have designated people, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, who come and they work in the kitchen, inmates who come. So all guards do is guard.
Right.
So this is how, we do the mopping, the sweeping, and everything. So
Wow.
if you live there, okay,
Okay.
you do, yeah, you cook for yourself, you cook
Gotta
for
clean
yourself.
it. Yeah.
Right. So we're not, when you're locked up, you're not cared for.
Right.
You do your own shit.
Right.
So I didn't want to sweep or mop. I didn't want to cook. I didn't want to do laundry. So it's
Right.
like, I got to do something, because I didn't have that overflowing love and concern from family and friends like a lot of people do when they sit in prison, which, by the way, I didn't want it anyway, because
Right.
if you're there to be punished, take your punishment.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't be sitting in prison being sent money and packages from family and friends. No, it's a punishment, not a reward.
You said it. You said it.
Okay. So, and then those people who get all that love and that care and attention from their family and friends are the ones that keep going back.
Yeah, and
Right.
doing the same thing.
So,
Yeah.
because they didn't learn anything.
Mhm.
Separate them from their family and friends, and that means family and friends stop sending them shit, and sometimes don't even respond to their whiny letters.
Yeah.
Let them sit there in the mess they made for themselves, if that's the way it went down.
Yes.
Now, a lot of people, what I found too in this experience, again, nothing I read in any books, nothing nobody told me, I didn't see it in documentary, I was there.
Right.
And yes, there are a lot of people who are unlawfully imprisoned. A lot.
Yeah.
More, yes.
Yeah.
The numbers are disturbing, and you can go to a place called, and then we'll move away from this too, because I don't want to make it about this either, but you can go to a place called the Innocence Project, I think .org or .com, whatever, and you can look at the stories. A lot of people are unlawfully in prison, even, and some
Wow.
of, yeah, yeah. So I knew, but I knew that firsthand. Also, I did a video on this, and I think you saw it, but I wanted to bring this up too while we're here.
Yeah.
Pants sagging did not start in prison. So please stop spreading this rumor, y'all. That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life.
Oh God.
No, you do not need to sag your pants for somebody to want to have sex with you. You can have your pants up to your neck. When you got horny men caged with other horny men, it's going down. I don't care what you got on. The most ridiculous thing I've heard. So, and most of these sexual escapades happen when people are in the shower with your open.
Oh my
Being in
God.
the boys' locker room. Yeah. The showers are open, and they, you look and you see somebody naked or with a nice ass or an erection, you going in. I mean, it's just what it is.
Oh.
So yeah, it doesn't matter what you're doing with your pants, boo. But anyway, let's move on, darling. Enough of these rumors. What we know, boo.
Okay.
So remember the prison story.
Yep.
And here's the part I want you to remember. So because I didn't want to do all those other jobs in prison, I went to the board there and said, hey, I need something to do, but I don't want to do these jobs. And they said,
Right.
well, we don't, what else can you do? Can you do gardening? I said, I don't want to do that either. Well, can you work in the library? I don't want to do that either. And so I went, so there's a big office, a big building, and that's where all the board people, the people who are running the prison are, the warden, all them. And so as I was coming out of the office, disappointed, I noticed this crack. This door was cracked to my right, and I saw something orange flash. And I said, what's in there? I pushed the door open, and in the corner was a pile of orange jumpsuits. Now, in minimum prison during that time, you didn't have to wear the orange jumpsuits. People, your loved ones, could send you street clothes, and you could wear those.
Okay.
And if you didn't, you could wear if you didn't have clothes, you could wear the orange jumpsuits.
Right.
So they were just sitting in there, and they were all damaged. They were the ones that were damaged, need to be repaired.
Oh, I know where this is going.
As I pushed the door further open, again, like a beam of light, there was an industrial sewing machine with the light shining on it.
Oh, wow.
And so I went back to the office and said, what's up with this room with the sewing machine? Oh, that's for, we used to have somebody who used to sew, who used to repair the uniforms, but they got released. I said, I can sew? They said, okay, well, that's your job.
I knew that was coming.
So that's what I did while I was in prison. So remember that story.
Look at the divine. Look at the divine, just the line, making sure.
Remember that part of the story. Okay, excuse me, I need to clear my sinuses.
That's okay, take your time, we'll wait. Look at the divine. That's why I'm not talking a lot, because I have such respect for you, and I wanted the story, honey, because when we spoke the other night, I was riveted. And I'm just like, I just love the constant pull. It's like thread, like literally, it's like thread through your whole life. It's like a thread.
And there's a thread, so remember that thread. So
yes.
Remember the
Calvin Klein jeans.
Calvin Klein jeans.
New York.
The factory.
Yeah, the factory.
Okay. The offer to go to New York to go to FIT.
And now
and the
throwing in the prison.
In the prison. So remember that. All right. So now I get out after a couple of years. I was paroled out and still had to stay on parole. And now I'm trying to figure out, well, what am I going to do with my life? I don't know what I'm going to do. Everybody's saying, you're a high school dropout, you don't have a college degree, you have 3 felonies, you're on parole, and you're Black. It's not looking good.
Yeah.
And so, poor work history, everything. So all these odds against me. Well, again, because I wasn't concerned about being liked, I didn't see that negative side that everybody else was looking at.
Right.
I don't care if people don't like me. I got me. I like me. And so I'm gonna do me right. I'm gonna take care of me. So I'm in this halfway house, and I'm there with criminals, hardened criminals. And I'm like,
Right.
oh no, boo boo, this ain't for me, honey, not your auntie. So I got to go. So I go out that day and come back with 2 jobs that they
Oh,
said I
wow.
would never get
Wow.
the same day, the first day.
Wow.
So I get the jobs, and here's the crazy thing. I want you said something very interesting about the thread.
Yeah.
Remember this story. So the halfway house is on in my small town. It's on what's called 7th Street.
Okay.
Okay. 7th Street is a long street that connects to, and it runs into, and it's so long that when it gets so far, it turns into
To
another name.
another street. Yeah.
Right.
Another
But it's
name.
the same street.
Mm-hmm.
The jobs that I found were all on 7th Street,
Wow.
both of them. So I walked straight down there, go to work. The first job was the furthest out, double back, stop at the second job,
And
go
then
back
go.
to the halfway house.
Mm-hmm.
Now, between the second job and the halfway house, about middle between that, there was this nice neighborhood. And it's a bougie neighborhood, and clean and quiet and safe, and there was a sign in a yard that said apartment for rent. And I said, oh God, I want to get out of the halfway house so bad. I said, but I need to save up money. I need first month's rent, last month's, and I don't have furniture, I don't have anything. And I said, but you know what? Again, I'm not worried about being liked, so I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to write down the number just in case. So I wrote down the
Mm-hmm.
number and I stuck it in the blue jeans I had on that day. I forgot about it, going to work, leaving, going to work, leaving. And for the first time, by this time, I had been on the job 2 weeks. So the following week, I would have a check coming. So that Saturday morning, I got up. I said, you know what? It's the first time that I'm off both jobs. I don't have to work either job this particular Saturday. It was my first time. And I said, so I'm going to go apartment hunting.
Yep.
So I said, oh, the first place I'm going to stop at is this place that I wrote the number down on. So I put my jeans on and everything and head over to the place, and the sign is gone out of the yard. I said, well, that doesn't mean nothing. I said, oh, you know what? I got the number wrote down. And just so happens that Saturday morning, I had the jeans on that had the
Yep.
number in it, but I had washed the jeans. Because
Oh,
by then, this was like a week later. So the jeans
yeah.
had been washed. And I said, oh crap. And I did like that, put my hand in my pocket, and the paper was still there, untouched by the washing. Oh,
Wow.
yeah. Opened it up. The number was still there. Called the number. Nobody answered. I said, well, you know what? Let me go knock on the door, somebody's door, and ask one of the neighbors, what's it like to live here? What's the rent? Is the landlord nice? And so I walk into the lobby of the apartment building, and I knocked on the first door that I came to my left. And this tall, skinny, redhead white guy answers with glasses on. He was smoking a cigarette, had a cup of coffee. Yes. I said, yeah, I was wondering if you could tell me about the landlord and living here. And he said, hold on one second. He walks away from the door and comes back. He has keys in his hand. He said, so we have an availability on the top floor. Let me show you. And he was the manager.
I knew it.
How did I knock on the first door I knocked on, and it didn't say manager on the door or anything.
Right.
So, right? Okay. So he takes me upstairs and he's showing me this apartment. I said, oh my God. And so I'm from Kentucky, a small town in Kentucky. So apartments, 1-bedroom apartments average out to around $200 to $300 a month.
Right.
Very cheap.
That's
Still to this day.
over here.
Yeah,
They're killing us, Patreq. They're killing us.
Oh, I'm in New York City.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Still to this day, So $250 don't even pay your utilities. So anyway, so I come back downstairs with them, and I said, okay, well, first of all, I need to be honest, because again, I'm not worried about being liked.
Right.
And I told him, I said, look, I just got out of prison. I'm on parole. I'm staying at the halfway house. I just started both my jobs, so I really don't have a whole lot of money. And as I'm talking, he's writing, And I'm like, oh my God, he is not writing this down. I said, well,
right.
well, I ain't gonna get this apartment. So after I finished talking to him, he says, well, sometimes bad things happen to us. We get ourselves in trouble, but everybody deserves the right to redeem themselves. But anyway, so here you go. So he rips out 2 sheets of paper from the thing he was writing on and hands them to me. And one says deposit for the first month's rent and the rent deposit.
Oh my God.
I said, but sir, I don't have any money right now. He says, no. He says, I understand that. He says, so here's what we're going to do. He says, when you get your first check, you'll pay your rent. We'll start your rent from there. He said, as far as the last month's rent, work that off around in the yard. I need some help keeping up the yard. Oh, okay, I can do that.
Right.
I was out of the Halfway House, just like that. But you know why? Because I wasn't concerned about being right.
You don't have the limitation, Patreq. It took me so many years to get to this because my mother, the drugs, the bullying, the church, I wasn't this. And now I don't give a fuck.
Right.
And it feels so good.
And that's
continue.
And that's it. So I end up moving in. Now it gets better.
Okay.
So turns out he was gay. So there was that advantage.
We are family.
I got all my landlords with me.
Right.
So there was that advantage.
Yes.
And so what he was doing, which I did not know at the time, what he was doing was offering a safe place for gay people to live. So most of his, even though it was illegal, he can't do that's illegal. That's discrimination.
Right.
He was right and privileged, but he was doing it anyway, and applaud him. So he would only move in people he knew was gay.
Wow.
Right. So I looked out. But what are the odds of me going to that place?
Exactly.
Right. His energy was like pulling us in, honey.
Yes.
Yes, he had that energy. Well, wait, it gets better. So I moved in that Friday. That Saturday morning, he the following Friday, the following Saturday morning, he comes in, knocks on my door, and he says, "Are you busy?" I said, "No, just so happens I'm off again today."
Right.
And he says, "Oh, great." He says, "Well, get dressed and come take a ride with him." I said, "Sure." So I get dressed, we go downstairs, we get in this car, and we driving out to the country. Out of the town limits into the country. I said, okay.
What'd you say? Look at you now. You're not going to bury me.
He was being nice. You won't be getting no living kidneys here, honey. But no, he was nice. So we ended up going to this. We're on a farm. Now remember, I'm in Kentucky, which is a big farm state.
Yes.
A lot of farming is done there.
Right.
So we're on a farm. And I said, okay, and I'll be having me trying to feed no chickens and collect the eggs. I already cleaned the yard. I didn't say nothing about farming. But no. So we get in a truck that was parked next to the house, and we drive further behind the house.
Oh, wow.
Out to where there's this huge shed.
Oh, no.
He puts the key in and raises this big shed door. He says, okay, pick out whatever you need for the apartment.
Oh, Patreq.
So I got a full apartment full of furniture, TV, everything. And guess what? He also had a sewing machine.
Oh.
So I got the sewing machine. He says, "Oh, you know how to sew?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Well, I have some things too that you need to fix." He said, "I'll pay you if you fix them for him." I said, "Sure." So yeah, so I started sewing again. So remember that story.
Yes.
Now let's move.
I told them this was going to be good. They looking like, oh, well, the queen ain't said nothing this whole time. I'm listening. I told you the story was going to be good.
So moving forward, I ended up, doing better financially, get myself together. I made a few outfits and was selling those. Left there, and a friend came to me who I hadn't seen in years. And she's like, "Oh, Patreq, how are you doing?" I said, "I'm doing great." I said, "But juggling these jobs and doing, trying to sell my clothes and everything, it's really hard not having a car." She said, "Oh, I work at a car dealership. Come and see me tomorrow." So I go to see her, and I said, "Well, I don't have a down payment for a car right now." I don't even have a driver's license.
Right. You're like,
So
wait a minute, child, I ain't trying to go back to jail.
she said, do you have a state ID? I said, yes. She says, give it to me. So I gave her my state ID.
Wow.
She said, okay, so here's what we're going to do. She says, when you get your first, because we're going to do $150 a month, your payment.
Right.
And I picked out this Volkswagen Quantum 1986.
Right.
And charcoal gray, beautiful car.
Right.
Kind of looks like a Volvo.
Yeah.
And that's why I picked it, because it looked expensive.
Right.
So she did something to make my state ID look like a driver's license on paper,
On paper.
when she Xeroxed it.
Yeah.
And she gave me the keys, and I drove it off the lot. And it needed a lot of work, muffler and all this stuff, which was no problem. It was my first car ever. And now I can get around, sell my clothes, get to my jobs on time and everything. And
But you couldn't drive.
Oh, I could drive. I just didn't have a driver's license.
Oh, okay. That's like most Black people in the South or the West. Yeah.
I drove my mother's car for years.
Wow.
Yeah. So I just never went and got a driver's license.
Right.
So, and back then it wasn't a big deal like it is today. You get pulled over today, you go to jail. If you don't. Back then, you get pulled over. They give you a ticket. You got to go to court, and they make you park the car and walk.
Yeah.
Yeah, but today, so it wasn't a big deal back then.
Okay.
But then it was also because I wasn't concerned about being liked.
Yeah.
So I got the car and went on and everything. And one morning I came out. This is crazy. One morning I came out to go to work, and my car was gone.
Uh-oh.
And I said, how did somebody steal my car? I'm looking on the ground, there's no broken glass. And when did they do it? It was done so quietly. When did it happen? And so I don't know, should I call the police? I can't, because I don't have a driver's license. Should I call the dealership? Well, I can't, because I haven't, made my latest payment yet. I'm like, I don't know what to do. So I remembered, then I'm sitting there literally, and I had to go to work. And there's snow on the ground. I have to go to work, and there's snow on the ground. It snowed the night before, so I woke up to snow, and my car was gone. But I remember a couple of days prior to that, it had snowed.
Right.
And I came out, and I wanted to get the snow off. Now, remember, it's my first time owning a car.
Right.
So I took the window scraper to get the snow off the window, and I said, this is a nice car. I want everybody to see my car. So I'm scraping the snow off the hood and not realizing I'm scratching it with right. I don't know. It's my first time with a car. So when the snow was off the car, I looked on the hood of the car and saw this shape, on the top of the car. I was like, oh my God, I'm so So anyway, so I'm sitting there reminiscing about, my car. And I said, I'll know my car when I see it, because it's got that scratch on it. So I finally I called the dealership that Monday, because this happened on a Saturday. I don't know what it is with Saturdays. This happened on a Saturday. I was late for work because I had to walk, and they fired me. And so it all kind of
being late.
Yeah, right. But not for being liked. So
yeah, right.
Right. So I could care less. So because I'm a hustler, I can always
I
can always go back to shoplifting, selling drugs, and
Don't say that.
Get out. A bitch gonna be all right. So I called the car dealership and nobody answered.
Okay.
So I'm calling all day, nobody answered.
Okay.
I go by there, there's police tape.
Oh no.
I'm like, what's going on? Did somebody get killed? What's going on? Well, again, I left it alone. The car is gone. I stopped making the payments. I'm like, whatever, I'm done. So a friend of mine came to me, another friend of mine that I hadn't seen since high school. She comes to me and says, hey, I'm going to Atlanta. I didn't want to drive alone. I heard from one of your family members that you were thinking of going to Atlanta. I said, well, yeah, I was thinking of going up north of New York, but okay, I think I could take a detour for now.
Right.
So packed up the car with her, and we drove to Atlanta. Get to Atlanta, and this was the first time I saw upper class Black people
Right. Right.
that were running things. I remember we stopped at a McDonald's to get something to eat as soon as we got into Atlanta.
Right.
And I distinctly remember walking in, and there was a white guy mopping.
And you almost died. I know you.
A black manager said, when you're done with that, make sure to empty the trash receptacles. I was like, oh my God, where are we?
Where are we?
Where are we?
Atlanta.
It's in Kentucky. They're not in Kentucky anymore, that's for sure. So that was like really a culture shock for me. I was like, wow. And then when we went downtown to Lenox Mall and Phipps Plaza in that area,
right,
and it was summertime,
right.
and the Black people were sitting out dining, and they were dressed nicely. The parking lot was full of brand name cars, and I was like, oh my God, where are we?
Right.
Like, right. And so now I'm feeling like some, a dumb nigga, because I'm looking out like a country bumpkin from Kentucky, because that's what I was. And so I was like, oh, but I love this. And more importantly, it wasn't so much what I saw.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think a lot of people realize that racism is something that's in the air. You feel it.
Yeah, you feel it.
Feel it.
You feel it. Yeah.
I was like, wow, this is a feeling I haven't felt before.
Yeah.
I felt elated. I felt important. I felt, honey, blacker than black.
Yeah.
But again, I never had, even though I saw it around me, I never had an inferior complex.
Right. Right.
I'm not one of those Black
That's
people
what happens when you're not worried about being liked.
Right.
No inferiority complex.
So I didn't work. I never thought white people were better than me. I never hated white people. I certainly wasn't worshiping no white Jesus.
Right.
That's gonna happen. So I never had those problems.
Right.
And so, but that just really, that when I saw that made me an uppity nigga.
Yeah.
As they say. So I
living in Williamsburg now.
Yeah, so I ended up coming back home and then deciding, you know what, I want to go, let me go try to get in college. I need to get in college.
Right.
And so a friend of mine that I met when I lived in Cincinnati, she helped me get into college, and I went back to Atlanta to go to college for that.
Right.
And I ended up staying in a shelter because the school lied to me. Remember this story? Remember the story about the car dealership?
Yeah.
Remember the story about the car?
Yeah.
And remember this story?
Yeah.
So when I went to apply for the college, I also applied for student housing.
Right.
When it was time to go check in for school and start classes and anything, oops, sorry, you don't have student housing. So
and you're coming from out of state.
Right. And so again, because I'm not concerned about being liked, I was okay staying in the shelter. I didn't care what people thought about it. So I went stayed in a shelter. The important thing was that I went to school.
Yes.
Okay. And I wasn't going to let that stop me.
Right.
So I said, I'm not worried about being liked. And we're going to insert the word proud.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or
like. I wasn't concerned about being proud. So I went and stayed in a shelter. And while I was in the shelter, I would take old clothes that people in the shelter were tossing out.
Right.
I would chop them up and I would make these hats. By hand. Hold on.
You're doing the same thing I'm doing. Okay.
Applejack hats. So I started making these hats. If I can hold this up to the screen. And you can
see. Let me see.
And they're called Applejack hats. See these.
Oh, I know them.
Right. So I started making those.
Right.
And one of them, somebody told me, said there's a boutique that buys stuff from designers. So I went to the boutique and they said, oh, I love these hats. She bought one for herself and she allowed me to put 3 on display in her store.
Right.
And so I put them in there, but I was going to school, I was working at the Gap, I was busy, and I forgot all about that. So, but remember that story about the hats in the boutique. So I forgot all about that, and I went on, and and I'm saving my money. Then my mother died, so I had to go. I had to leave college. I quit my job, went home, went to the funeral, came back to Atlanta,
Right.
got a hotel room. I never returned to school or to work. I stayed in the
Right.
hotel room and I sewed. And I
Right.
sewed. That's how I mourned.
Right.
Sewed. So sewing was always my comfort zone, my safe place,
Right.
my therapy. And so
Right.
I sewed through it, and I'm piling up clothes. And my nephew had traveled back with me when I went home for the funeral. He came back with me to Atlanta. And
Right.
so I'm in the hotel room and I get this call. And this lady says, "Hey, I'm looking for a designer by the name of Patreq." I said, "This is Patreq." Says, "Yes, hi. So we're doing a fashion show here at my club, and we're asking designers to at least come with 10 looks. And we're going to provide the models, the hair, the makeup, the venue, and everything." I said, "Okay, yeah, sure, I'd love to." She said, "So how many pieces do you think you can show?" I said, "Well, can I call you back?" She said, "Sure." So I had my nephew, I said, "Quick, takes his money, run across the street to the 99-cent store, get a bunch of hangers and start hanging up these clothes." And
Yeah.
so my nephew was hanging up the clothes that I had been sewing. I think I'd been sewing for 2 or 3 weeks, just every day, just sewing and sleeping and
Wow.
sewing and sleeping. So he got through counting and it was 108 pieces.
Wow.
And so she called me back and I said, "Hi, yes. So I have 108 pieces." She said, "8 pieces. Okay." I said, "No, 108 pieces." She said, "Oh." She said, "Okay, let me call you back."
Now she gotta call you
So she
back.
hung up and she called me back. She said, "Okay, Patreq, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to have you show by yourself this Friday. We'll book the other designers for some other time."
I knew it. I heard it. It
I
was
said,
about to be
"Are
the
you
Patreq show. I
serious?"
knew it. Yeah.
She said, "Yes." So I said, "Oh my God, I don't believe it." So I go there, we did the show, and she had invited a lot of boutique owners.
Mm-hmm.
And the boutique owners were coming up to me after the show. "Oh, love the collection. I'm going to buy some stuff for you." So sure enough, that Saturday morning, they came to the hotel, and by around 5, 6 in the evening, and this was summertime, about 5 and 6 in the evening, so it was still daylight. The
You had sold everything.
I had about a fourth of the stuff left.
Damn.
Almost everything was gone.
Damn.
And so so then by but remember that story.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm with
So
you. I got my pens.
so by that time, and this was 2002.
Yes.
So in 2003, I had my stuff in 5 boutiques throughout Atlanta.
Wow.
And one of them was a high-end boutique called French Kiss, which
Okay.
everybody knew when you come to Atlanta, you got to shop at French Kiss.
Wow.
And to this day, the owner, Bridget, and I are still best friends.
Nice.
So yeah, we became very close friends from that. And so
Nice.
she was one of the first boutique owners that came and bought stuff for me, and
Wow.
was one of my biggest supporters and really pushed me to believe in myself. And
Wow.
because I didn't know where I was going, at this point,
Right.
especially when my mom died, it was just really
Yeah.
a real struggle for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so that helped me get through that loss and deal with that pain. And so fast forward, this was shortly after 9/11.
Yes.
So the economy started to trickle down, have the trickle down
Yeah, I
effect.
remember.
So boutique after boutique after boutique started closing, or they no longer could purchase from independent
Designers.
designers. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm like, you know what? That's it. I'm going to New York. So now we're getting to the point of all these stories. So while in Atlanta, though, I had to, everything started closing, going out of, and so I said, well, now I'm gonna have to get jobs. So I took a part-time job at a gas station. All I had to do in the morning was come in, and took 4 hours to restock everything. And,
Mm-hmm.
and then left that job and had to go to a hotel, where I worked in a hotel, which is now the historical Biltmore Suites in Atlanta. Um,
Wow.
and so I went there and worked. And there's a whole bunch of stories that happened during that time
Uh-huh.
with working at the hotel, but
Uh-huh.
I don't want to get too deep into that, but it was just amazing. So, but I will tell you this part. So while I was at the hotel, working at the hotel, there was Chicago came to perform at the Fox Theater, which was a few blocks from the hotel.
Uh-huh.
And so did Chicago, King and I, the
The
King
King
and
and I. Mm-hmm.
I. And they performed back to back. So one week it was Chicago, and the next week it was King and I.
Right.
And so a lot of the performers stayed at the Biltmore Suites.
Wow.
So because of my personality and
Yep.
and the fact that I don't worry about being right,
Uh-huh.
the hotel owners, they came to me and said, Patreq, we want you to take care of the King and I and the Chicago group. But for you to do that, we need you to be on the premises 24 hours. So I quit the morning job and stayed at the hotel. And of course, they paid me extra money, and the hours were great. And they put me in one of the penthouse suites.
Oh, Patreq.
So I was staying there, and the King and I group and the Chicago group, tips were great. They tipped really huge. So I had all this money left over. And so I said, oh, this is great. Now I have enough money to go to New York. So somebody came to me and said, hey, before you go to New York, we're having this big show at the Fox Theater, and we're gonna have all these people there. We really want you to showcase your stuff there. So I went. I said, okay. So I put New York off again to do that, and I stayed, and some friends helped me put the collection together, and it went off with a hitch. It was great, and I remember an audience member coming to me after the show. And she says, they're doing the step and repeat where you take pictures with the models and the designers.
Right.
And so she comes and takes a picture with me, and she whispers in my ear, she says, oh my God, I didn't know you were Black. And I said, wait, what? And she was Black. And I said, what do you mean by that? She says, well, when I saw your stuff, I thought this guy's probably white from Europe.
Oh, yes. Okay,
Right.
I understand.
I said, oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I don't know why that should be flattering to me, because I don't.
A European designer.
Right.
Fashion.
I understood where she was coming from.
Yeah.
So that gave me another incentive, because because everything in my life was just kind of happening so fast.
Yeah.
I didn't stop to think, wait, I am one of the most popular African-American designers in Atlanta.
Uh-huh.
I'm the one who has the most stuff in the most boutiques.
Yeah.
I'm the most sought after. I was mentioned in WWD, Lucky Magazine.
Yeah.
But it didn't register with me until I heard her say what she said.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, this is making sense now. So then that just gave me more incentive to go to New York.
Yes.
But I had spent that money that I earned from the hotel on the collection, that last collection. So now I'm like, oh, and I don't have either of the jobs anymore, because I had quit to prepare to go to New York.
Mm-hmm.
So some friends gathered up some coins, got me a plane ticket. I had $280 saved, still left over, and they sent me to New York. I get to New York December 14th, 2005. They had a blizzard that year.
My favorite part of the story is coming up.
Now, I don't know anybody from New York.
Right.
I don't know. I don't have a job lined up. I don't have, I only have $280. What was I thinking? But I'm in New York!
I knew that was coming.
I'm like, I don't care. I'm here. I did not let that stop me.
Right.
Because I'm not concerned about being liked.
You're like, look, we're going to hustle. We're going to make it work.
We're going to make it work. I'll figure it out. But I knew it was going to be okay, because I know this. This is one thing I know about all major cities. They all have shelters.
And you're not proud.
They all have shelters. And the important thing is food and shelter. Yes. No matter what you're going through. If you got food and shelter, you can make it.
Yep.
You just need to take care of those two things first. Don't worry about your hygiene. Don't worry about your clothes. If you got food and shelter, you can figure the rest out.
Yes.
So, but luckily, and here's where all this stuff is going to tie in together.
There you go.
So in 2003, while in prison, I was diagnosed with HIV. And because I wasn't concerned about being liked.
Right.
I didn't let that stop me either.
Nope.
And when I got here, I said, well, one of the first things I have to do is food and shelter. I
Right.
said, so let me contact some resources that help people living with HIV.
Yeah.
I did not know at the time that New York City had the best programs for persons living with HIV.
Mm-hmm.
So I was staying in a hotel on 34th between 7th and 8th.
Oh my God, I know exactly what that is.
The place that I needed to go on, there was like 100 names on the list, hundreds programs or services on the list. But one of the first three,
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember if it was the first 1, 2, or 3, but one of the first three was 2 blocks from the hotel.
Right.
So I went there
Uh-huh.
and I told the lady, I said, hey, I need some help with food and shelter. I'm not from New York. And she said, okay, but this facility is only to help people living with HIV and AIDS. I said, I got HIV, girl.
You know what?
She said, oh, well, why didn't you say that? I said, well, I don't know how y'all do things around here. So she said, we're going to give you the hookup. So she got me in a temporary housing situation and food stamps and cash and so on,
Uh-huh.
right? So now it's time for me to find a job.
Right.
So I put an ad in Craigslist. That's all I knew.
Right.
I'm not from New York. I don't know how things work here.
Right.
I put an ad for in Craigslist. And so so I got a hit the next day.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, oh, okay, so let me go. And so I get there and I'm like, okay, wait a minute. I'm looking at this office. It was in the Wall Street area.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm well above my head here. What have I got myself into? So this guy comes down, he's nicely dressed, and as the designer, I know designer clothes.
Yes.
And I could see, I said, okay, I am way over my head here. And what do they want me to do anyway? It's an advertising firm.
Okay.
And it says that I'm a seamstress, so they know what do they want me for. So as the guy is taking me up to the on the elevator, I said, "Excuse me, I'm a little confused by why you contacted me. I'm a designer." He said, "Oh, well, so we are a marketing firm, and we do marketing campaigns and advertisements, and so we do little models to show our clients." And we have people here that work with glass, plastic, wood. Nobody knows how to work with fabric. Oh,
Oh.
I'm your man.
Yeah.
So he goes and he says, so we're making this, and I still have the sample he gave me.
Get
Right?
Get it. Let us see.
So he says, we're doing a new liquor,
Uh-huh.
a liquor for Crown Royal.
Right.
And so he said, have you ever heard of Crown Royal? I said, honey, I'm Black.
That's the case.
We all have that little purple bag in our house.
Yes, yes.
Okay, probably holding our loose change.
Yes.
So I said, yes, I know Crown Royal. He said, so they're coming out with a new holiday liquor. Now, this is what they gave me as a gift.
Uh-huh.
But the bottle that the new liquor was this big. And they needed a new bag design for it because it was bigger than the normal, right? So I said, oh, okay. So they said, what we need you to do is to go out and shop fabrics and bring us back some fabric swatches because the company doesn't want to use the usual flannel bag for this. They want to change the fabric. So I went out and swatched some stuff, brought it back, stuck it to a board the next day, and brought that to them. And they said, oh, okay, so we'll show these to our clients. And so they said, okay, this is what they like. Now what we need you to do, these are the ones they chose. Now what we need you to do is to go out and shop which fabric suppliers can sell us like 100 boats.
Yeah.
And on each boat is like 200 to 300 yards.
Right.
So, so I said, okay, I can do that. So I'm out shopping. Now, I'm concerned about how they're going to pay me.
You ain't slow. You like, wait a minute.
I was a little slow because I'm like, okay, I forgot to discuss pay.
Before I went and did it.
So I run into this girl who we are still friends to this day. And
Uh-huh.
she lives and works in New York and works in the fashion industry. And so she was in this one store when I went to stop in and ask about fabrics. And she noticed that I was looking at something. She said, "Oh, that's a really nice color." I said, "Oh, thank you." I said, "Excuse me, uh, do you work in the fashion industry?" She said, "Yes." She said, "I run around and do, I go collect swatches." And I said, "Oh, perfect. That's what I'm doing right now for this company, and I don't know what to charge them." And she says, "Oh, well, what exactly do they have you doing?" I said, "Well, they have me shopping around. This is my second day, and they have me shopping around for fabrics for this company, and they want me to glue them to a board, and then I have to list the fiber content and how much it costs and how much yardage, the weft to weft width, all this stuff." And so she's like, "Oh," and she said, "Yeah, so for about 3 or 4 days, I would charge them like 1,500." And I was like, "Girl, you crazy. You gonna get me fired before I get hired."
Right.
Uh, So she said, "No." She said, "Because if I were doing it, I'm telling you, because you just started out. If I were doing it, it would be $2,500 easy, and they would pay it." And I
Ooh.
said, "Well, that's you. You've been doing this for a while." I said, "I don't know if I
Mhm.
can do that." I said, "But thank you anyway." So I went on and took back the information that I had with him, and he said, "Okay, so we'll let you know if they want to go with these fabrics on that you found." So they decided on the company, and they said, "Yes, we're going to go with this company. We'll get all our fabric from them." And so they had me come back a third day and gave me the company credit card and said, "Go purchase these fabrics."
Oof.
And because it's the company card, the people at the fabric store apparently know them. And so I went, did the fabrics, and came back. And he said, "Okay, great, Patrick. Thank you so much. We really appreciate your help. So invoice us."
You're like, I'm not leaving here without no money.
Like, what? Like, what just happened? So
Right.
now I'm trying to be professional and everything. So,
Right.
okay, thank you so much. All right, I'll send my invoice over. So I go home and I research what the hell is an invoice anyway.
Right.
So I
Right.
so I found some examples of invoice and I did the invoice, and I had to do it at the library because I didn't have a computer.
Right.
So I sent the invoice over and I waited and I waited. I waited like 2.5 days. And he calls me and he says, "Oh, Patrick, great. So the company changed their mind. So we need you to go out and grab flannel, the usual fabric that they use for the bags."
Okay.
Okay, fine. So I go. So he said, "Come by here and pick up the card." So I came by. I said, "Oh, while I'm here, uh, I haven't received any information about my check." He said, "What?" He said, "Well, let's head over to HR." So
Wow.
we go over accounts payable. I'm sorry, accounts payable. So we get over to accounts payable, and the check was there. Wait, for $1,500 because I gave them the invoice she told me to give them for $1,500, but I had forgot to put my apartment number.
Oh, so the check was waiting on you.
They didn't want to give it out because they didn't want to go to the wrong place. So I was like, "Ah." So yeah, so the check was there. And so I was like, "Oh, great." So I went out and got the flannel and everything, but I ended up making $1,500 for 3 days.
Wow.
And I'm like, I love New York.
Right.
This is what I'm talking about. A bitch supposed to get paid for her skill set, you know? And so they paid me.
Yes.
And I thought, this is how I imagined me getting paid at
Right.
this point of my life with as
Right.
much experience as I've had. And
Right.
I said, I'm not worried about being lying. So from that point on, I did everything through Craigslist. I got my customers through Craigslist. And the company that I work for now, where I'm the head designer,
Yes.
they found me through Craigslist.
Oh, wow.
Now, let's tie all these pieces together.
Yep. Come on, Patreq. Come
Okay.
on.
So, um, working at the for my mother's employer,
Yes.
And what was the other point?
The Calvin Klein jeans.
Calvin Klein jeans.
The offer for FIT.
The offer to go to FIT and everything.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, I realized I didn't have enough training. I wanted to be better. I always wanted to be better than I was the day before.
Okay.
And so people kept saying, oh, you should go to school. You should go to school. You should go to FIT. You should go to FIT. But it's hard to get into FIT. Most people don't make it. Only 1 out of 20 Black people even make it.
Right.
So I'm like, oh, okay, I'll try it. What do I have to lose? I tried it, got in.
Right.
Now wait, I go in and remember I told you I had the art lessons from my school teacher who, right, during, I think I was age 14. I went to FIT. They give you a test on the spot, a design test on the spot.
Wow.
So I go there and they give you a sheet of paper. I hate being late for something. And so I was the first one there. Wow. Nobody was there. They literally had to, I was standing outside when they unlocked the door.
Yes, Patreq. That's me.
Yeah.
That's me because of my grandma.
Right. So she said, come on in. You're the first one here. And so she said, sign your name. So I signed my name.
Yeah.
And so she said, here, take a sheet of paper and we want you to design something while you're waiting. And so as I'm sketching, I see other potential students walking in. And now at this time, I'm in my 40s.
Yeah. Yeah.
All of them, I think I was like 40 or 41. Mm-hmm. All of them were like 16, 17, 18, fresh out of high school. And coming in, wearing their Jimmy Choos. I'm like, oh my God, what have I got myself into? These young kids about to eat me up and spit me out. So I'm sitting there drawing.
Not hardly.
Right. And so they're signing in too. And so she comes to me and she says, oh, you're done? I said, yes. She says, well, here, just keep sketching until they call your name. So I'm sketching and sketching and sketching. And so finally they called my name, that they called them in order that you signed the list. So I'm first in front of everybody.
Oh my God.
And it's open, there's no privacy. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to crash and burn in front of all these people.
Oh, not all.
So I go up there and they have this panel of people from all different parts, because FIT is big and the fashion design department is huge. Right. You have shoe design, handbag design, jewelry design, men's wear, children's wear, swimwear, evening wear, intimate wear. So all these departments are there.
Right.
And there's a panel of them.
Oh my God.
And I give them my paperwork and what I had sketched, and I give them my clothes first.
Right.
So I bought, because you're allowed to bring some clothes and show them samples that you made. So they pulled an Anna Wintour on me, and they was like, okay, what else do you have? Ooh! I said, that's it. I said, oh Lord. And I'm embarrassed because these kids. So one of the panelists said, okay, well, can we see the sketch that you were told to draw while you were waiting? So I gave them the stack of papers. And she did like this. She says,
yup.
No, we want to see what you drew while you were waiting. You were given a sheet of paper and asked to sketch something. I said, that's it. So the lady who was passing out the paper says, yes, he drew all of those. I gave him that much paper. And they went, oh, one moment. So they're huddling and whispering.
Because they're like, first of all, speed.
And they said, Patreq, you're in. Be here on Monday. And they said, one of the teachers that teaches fashion illustration, she says, Mr. Holmes, we have graduates that cannot draw like that.
See? Don't play with me.
So my school teacher, Miss Cherry.
Wow.
If it were not for her preparing me, now you wouldn't think that something that happened to you when you were 14 would play a part in your 40s.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So now here comes Monday. I'm at home going, oh my God, what am I going to do? I can't go to college. How am I going to pay for it?
Right. This is the second time you done this. You went out with them swatches. You ain't worried about the money. Now you done did it again. You ain't worried about the money.
So, well, wait. So around 10:30, I was supposed to be there at 8. Around 10:30, I get a call from the I forget the student, the person who takes care of the students.
Not the dean. Not the resident.
Student advisor, I think. something like that.
Something, not
You know what
Dean,
I'm talking
not
about?
Dina, not
No,
Dina students.
right.
I forget. It's been a lot. I
But
ain't
you
been in
know what I'm
college.
talking about.
I ain't been in college in 21
Right.
years.
Well, she calls me. She says, Patreq, where are you? We're looking for you. I said, well, I can't go to college. I don't have funds. I don't. She said, Patreq, we already took care of you. You have full scholarship.
Oh my God. But you know why? They saw they saw your ability.
Yeah. So from a sketch. So so I got in, I went to school, and are you ready for this? Now remember the story about the
Okay.
blue jeans.
The blue jean, Calvin Klein blue jeans.
So we have lecturers that come from the industry to come and speak to the fashion design students.
Wow.
Calvin Klein came to speak to the students.
Oh my God.
Wait. Now, in order to see him, there's 2,500 students in the fashion design department, because I told you all those different
Right.
sectors of fashion. So, but they could only 75 were allowed to attend the lecture.
Wow.
So the way that they determine those 75 is by your merits. So you have to have perfect attendance.
Yeah.
Above a 3.0 GPA.
Uh-huh.
And outstanding marks from your professors.
Okay.
Oh, I'm in, honey.
You was like, I got all of that.
I haven't missed a day.
Right.
I got A's and everything so far.
Right.
I have a 3.7 GPA.
You in.
So I got in, and I lingered after the lecture and stayed behind and spoke to Calvin Klein personally.
Wow.
And I told him a story about the blue jeans and everything.
Yes.
And Calvin Klein said to me, he said this in his lecture. He said this in his lecture. He said, I went to FIT. He said, but I didn't graduate. He said, because I knew I wasn't going to be good at these things. He said, I took what money I had left over. I hired somebody to do the sewing, to do the pattern making, to do the cutting. And I designed a line of coats, went to market with them, and became
Calvin Klein. Yeah.
So everybody, thank you. Everybody, if you want to blame anybody, blame Calvin Klein for me quitting school. So, so I was like, oh, well, shoot, I'm out of here, honey. So, but no, I left school because my HIV had turned for the worse due to all the stress of college and everything.
Yeah.
But the story that that Calvin Klein had shared with the during the lecture really put it over the top for me. And I was like, well, you know what? This is kind of a waste of time. This is for young people who don't have any experience. I have too much experience.
You got experience.
Right. So I need to do what he did. I need to go out and not just him, lots of other designers and business owners have done this. Go out and do what I do best.
Yeah.
Because with or without a college degree, if you don't have incentive and ambition and tenacity, you're not going to make it anyway. And we've seen this with people who have masters and they still don't make it.
Yeah.
So right. So, and we know that now. We know that.
We know that now.
It's not always the answer to the solution.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so here it is again. I'm quitting school and leaving
after being given a full scholarship to FIT, mind you.
Right.
So you can always brag. That's bragging rights. They gave you a full scholarship, and you left with a 3.7 GPA when you left. So I know they were heartbroken.
Right. And they did know about my medical condition. So
right.
It wasn't like a shock to them. And
right.
They did try their best to try to convince me to stay.
Right.
And finish. But I also knew that was politics because it would make them look good to have someone of my caliber graduate.
Yes.
From school. So I understand that. So, but yeah, I wasn't concerned about being liked. So I had to do me, boo. I had to do me, boo. So I went on and then I started picking up all sorts of gigs and selling my stuff, and I picked up a few celebrities along the way.
Yes,
and I'm comfortable and I'm happy with the way things are. I'm totally independent now. I'm no longer in need of government assistance or anything.
Yes.
So I love my job. I love my life. But out of all of this, I want to say to everyone listening,
yes,
it doesn't matter if you're gay, if you're short, tall, fat,
Yeah.
If you got pimples, you got
Right.
buck teeth, you
Yeah.
got dark skin, light skin.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter if you got cellulite, varicose veins. It doesn't matter if you have poor work history, if you're a high school dropout, if you're a mom with 15 kids, a deadbeat
Yeah.
dad, you have a prison record. None of that matters as long as you like yourself.
Yes.
I'm not perfect. I've made mistakes in my life. Everybody does.
Yes.
Unfortunately, the difference between me and somebody like, let's say, Jay-Z
Uh-huh.
or 50 Cent
Uh-huh.
or Snoop Dogg
Uh-huh.
is that their mistakes weren't put on public display
Yeah.
until they were ready for them to be on public display.
Yeah.
What happens, especially now with social media, people's mistakes get put on public display without their permission and when they're not ready for it.
Yeah.
And so then they set into this this pit of irredeemable qualities by the rest of society who wants to ostracize them. Like, remember Jeremy Meeks?
Yes. Yes.
Who became a supermodel
The
from his
supermodel.
shot.
Yep.
And so many people, how dare him? Who is he? How they're going to make him a prison a supermodel? He's a criminal. And if you look at his story, he wasn't a criminal. He made
Right.
stupid mistakes,
Right.
like a lot of us has, but his was put on public display so more
Yep.
people knew about it. And what bothered me by that whole thing is the way the public attacked him
Yep.
for having this success in these redeemable qualities.
Right.
Is that they didn't do that with Jay-Z, who
Right.
admitted that he sold drugs in Marcy Project.
Right.
They didn't do that with Mark Wahlberg, who used to
Right.
be a gay and damn near blind a man in Boston. They didn't
Oh,
do
God.
that. They didn't do that with Snoop Dogg, who admitted that he used to carjack people at gunpoint. They
Oh.
didn't do that to 50 Cent, who admitted that he was a drug dealer.
Mhm.
But you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
But you don't want to support this young man who's getting the same opportunity that they were given.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the reason why Jeremy Meeks is where he is, and the reason why Snoop Dogg is where he is, and 50 Cent is where he
And
is,
Jay-Z.
Mark Wahlberg is where he is, and Jay-Z is where he is because they weren't concerned about being liked.
I knew you was gonna say it. They don't care about being liked. Honey,
You have to like yourself. You have to
Yes.
be okay with your mistakes. You have to be okay with how you look in the mirror. You have to be okay with your pimples, your cellulite, your chicharrones. You have to be okay with
Yes.
who you are and not be concerned about being liked, and you can get through anything.
Anything. Let me tell you something. I sat and was riveted by this story because I knew where you were going. And oh my God, I'm getting goosebumps. Try not to have an emotional reaction because Patreq, my life changed the moment I stopped caring what people thought of me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
My family, my friends, my church, all the people I knew in my community, my life went from tragic to magic, as one of my mentors, Byron Nelson, used to say from years ago. My life went from tragic to magic once I stopped giving a damn about what people thought about me.
Yeah.
That's why I asked you to come here and share your story and did not interrupt you, because you have done more in your life than most people that graduated from FIT. And that's what I've learned. Experience. You first of all, do you know how hard it is to get things into sales and into boutiques? And you had done all of that. These little kids walking in here, they couldn't hold a candle to the experience that you had. Mm-hmm. And I have to say this as Spirit is saying it to me. And even after all of that, Patreq, it's just getting started.
Yeah.
You're not done.
Yeah.
Oh no, you're not done. And that is the most beautiful thing. You know, you said, oh, well, I was in my 40s. I'm 39. I'm 39 and I'm writing music, and my counterparts, Little Nas X, Ariana Grande, they all 24, 23, 26. It don't matter. I can sing and I write my own music and I'm going to put it on out here. I don't care about being liked. And that's why your story needed to be recorded on this platform, because it is so true. My grandmother used to say to me all the time, because I was very insecure about my voice. I was always bullied. That was the first thing. I used to hate going to the barbershop as a little boy, because when the barber asked me what I wanted done to my hair, and I would try to whisper to him, I want a low fade, and can you put a part? This feminine voice would come out, and every man and boy would turn around in the barbershop and say, oh, he's sweet. He's sweet. I used to hate that word. Oh, he's sweet. He's soft. He's sweet. Oh, you need to put some bass in your mouth, your voice, little man. I used to hate that. And now at 39, almost 40 years old, I'm a mezzo soprano. A mezzo soprano. I didn't even sing. Look, I didn't even sing like this in church. I sang tenor. They knew I could sing soprano as a child, but when it got time, the teenage years, they was like, no, you stick with the men. So I sang 2 octaves, 3 octaves lower than I was really made to sing. Tried to go to college, got issued, and I became one of the youngest directors of our gospel choir. What did I sing? Tenor. When I stopped caring about people liking me, I started making my own music in my key. And the world knows the rest of that. But I am just so thankful that you shared your story, because everybody listening can learn from your story. You did not care about being liked, and you were also willing to do the things that nobody else would do. And that's why you are where you are. That's why. Same here. I will do what nobody else will do. Honey, if I got to learn it, I'll learn it. I gotta work on it, I'll work on it. I got to stay up late, I'll stay up late. I got to do it, and I'll do it. And I'm just so honored, because you are someone that I love on social media. I love everything you did. Even the times when you would tell us off and tell us about, when you told models, first of all, you need to go seek an agency, because clearly you are not capable of being your own manager. I loved it because you were telling the truth. Yeah. But get it. It's not just that. Now we all know the story, so that when these people come to your social media and see you dancing in clothes that you made, and you're up on that rooftop, and you're just at the music, and you're just moving, and you're happy, and your brand name, Patreq, comes up at the end, now they understand why you dance. Yeah. Now they get it. Yeah. They get why you can dance. Beautiful.
Thank you, Queen. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for this platform. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you for bringing a lot of us together and helping us recognize each other's platforms where we normally would not. And thank you so much for posting all those images of those hot men.
I knew you were going to do it. I knew you were going to say it. My pleasure. It was my pleasure finding them, and my pleasure sharing them. And I love the reaction that everybody gives toward them. And I always tell people, don't tell me, go tell them.
Go tell them. I do. There was one that you posted.
Who? Say it.
It's I think I want to say he's African.
Okay.
Dark milk dud looking thing with the balls.
Duke, he's the fitness competitor?
It may be, but remember I posted, remember I comment, yeah, I think so. Remember I commented, I said, I really don't go for muscle men, but ooh, child.
It was Duke. I have an interview coming up with him. My God. Yes, he has agreed to do an interview with me. So you'll get to hear more and learn more about him. Ooh. Yeah, that's my buddy. He has never treated me any old kind of way. He has always respected me. He has always respected this. A great man, man.
He has given me a whole new appreciation for muscle.
A whole new world.
A whole new world.
So get this. Give me 3 words that you use to inspire yourself or others.
Okay, well, you know the first one.
Yes, I do.
Fabulous.
Yes.
That's my favorite word.
Yes.
When people say good morning to me, I don't say good morning, I say hey.
Yes.
And if they say, how are you? Fabulous. How are you? And when I see somebody dressed a nice way, I'll say, "You look fabulous." When people say certain things, I'll respond with "fabulous." And the word "fabulous," I don't just use that word randomly.
Uh-huh.
It not only does it flow off the tongue, though, it really means something. So fabulous means extraordinary, especially extraordinary, large, amazing, good, wonderful, have no basis in reality, mythical.
Mm.
So that's why I use the word. It's me using my gay magic, and and creating that. Words are so powerful. So
Yes.
that's one word. The other word is no.
I knew that was coming.
So you have to be comfortable with saying no.
Right.
So I'll give you an example of what I mean by that. And remind me that there's a third word, so I won't
Okay.
forget. So I had a situation where a person, I get a lot of hits from people who want to pull clothing from me and use it for, photo shoots or whatever.
Yes.
And
As you should.
so, right. And I used to be just like, okay, here go. But I started to realize that um, those people weren't using it for to grow. They weren't using it to help others.
Mm-hmm.
They were being selfish with it.
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of other things that played a part into it was, wear and tear on the garments.
Uh-huh.
And so I started charging a fee and say there's a pull fee. You're going to have, because these are losing value every time they're getting worn. They're coming back soiled, dirty, torn, stained, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of people, they had a problem with that though.
Uh-huh.
Okay, you want to use the clothes, but you don't want to help me in caring for them.
Right.
So you're cut off. So that's a no.
Yeah.
So one incident in particular, this big, um, stylist,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll have to have another conversation about that later. But occupations. So,
Mm-hmm.
but this stylist contacted me through Instagram and said, "Hey, I want to pull some stuff. I'm going to send an assistant over. Blah 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 blah."
Mm.
I said, "Well, no, you're not going to send anybody over.
Mm-hmm.
If you're the one pulling the clothes, you're going to be responsible for them. First of all, I don't know you from Adam. You're going
Right.
to come and stand in front of me face to face. I'm going to
Right.
hand it to you. You're going to sign.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you know who I am? I just told you I don't know who you are. I don't know you from Adam, so that's a stupid question. But so,
So I
so
just told you, dum dum.
right, and I don't care because I don't care about being liked.
Right.
So so he says, "Well, I'm this person. I did this and I styled for this celebrity and that celebrity, and what he said, I've been published." And I'm like, "I have too." And but here's the lesson about publishing.
Uh-oh.
Have you ever read the Inquirer? All published ain't good published, boo. So what does that mean? You know what
Right.
I
Right.
mean? Really with this guy. And so I'm trying to, remain open,
Right.
work with you here, but you're not meet me halfway because you're too concerned about being liked.
Yes.
So he comes back, finally he comes back and says, "Well, you know what? I was trying to help you. I could get your stuff, blah, 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 blah." So I said, "No, boo, I'm already there. And I know I'm there because you're asking me.
Yes.
I didn't ask you for nothing." So anyway,
I love
so
when they show their hand.
right. So that's why it's important to say
No. Third
so,
word.
right. No matter what. Sometimes you have to say no. And sometimes no's can lead to greater yeses.
Yes.
Because I've learned to say no, when it's time for me to get a yes from someone, the yeses
Yes.
are amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So remember that. Say no for
Yeah.
greater yeses.
Yes.
Now, my last word, my third word would be positive.
Yeah.
Stay positive no matter what's going on in your life.
Yeah.
Uh, um, I have a friend. She's gonna. I'm not gonna mention her name, but she's gonna feel some kind of way because I am talking about what we discussed. But so I have a friend now. I'm trying to help her get out of this negative,
Yeah.
ugh.
Yeah.
And so everything, we live in a culture where people go to the default setting is negative.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether it's police pulling someone over
Yeah.
or the person is being pulled over by the police,
Yeah. Automatically.
everybody knows how to escalate something, but nobody knows how to de-escalate.
Right.
And that's because we have our default setting is negative.
Right.
Negative response, negative perspective, negative viewpoint, negative attitude, negative outlook. We're expecting a negative outcome, negative, 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 negative. So positive, think positive. And if you can't think positive, this is what I say. If you can't control your thoughts to stay on a positive default setting,
Mm-hmm.
then don't think either way. Just,
I
just
just don't
remain
think.
neutral. Just remain neutral, honey. Yin and yang. Just leave it alone. Because thinking is not your strong suit.
I love when you tell us. I love when you read it.
Stop, relax your brain and just try not
Sit down before you hurt
to think
yourself.
good or bad. Just
Yeah.
stay in the middle, honey.
Yeah.
Let it go, but positive. So fabulous, no positive.
Thank
Those
you
are my 3 words.
so much. And I'm going to tell him you can find him online because I usually ask, but you can find him on Instagram at I am Patreq. I'm going to put it all in the description section. Do you have any other social media besides Instagram?
So you gave them my personal. Now my business.
Oh, the business one. Yeah, give him the business one. What's the business one?
Patreq, Patreq,
Right.
and you can also Google me at Patreq, and all my social media content, my LinkedIn, my Pinterest, my YouTube channel. I do have a YouTube channel too, so guys, please come over.
What's that? It's Patreq?
No, it's not, but it will come if you Google Patreq. It will come up in a Google search. But
I'll find it. I'll go right on YouTube and type it right in, and your channel will pop up, and I'll put the link. Trust me.
Genius Studios.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do the extra. I go above and beyond.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for sharing your story with me and with us. I feel so good, and
you look amazing too, darling.
Thank you. I can't wait to see another dance video because it's so amazing when you know why they dance.
Yeah. And they're going to get better.
Yes.
Yeah, the dance videos are going to get better. So expect some new stuff in the coming year.
Yes.
I'm going to dance my way through all of this drama.
Yes.
The world drama.
Yes.
And before we go, I want to say this too. Another important lesson I want to say. So respect.
Yes.
You had mentioned something about respect.
Yes.
I want to say this too. I want to share my perspective on respect and what I've learned about what that really is.
Okay.
All right. So often we get in positions where, we feel like someone has said something or done something, and our default setting is
negative.
Okay, right. Negative. And you disrespected me. I feel disrespected. And I would like to say to you this. I'd like to ask you this question and just give me a straight answer.
Uh-huh.
All right. Do you respect yourself?
Yes.
All right. And you, therefore, you have self-respect, correct?
Yes.
All right. If you have self-respect, how can somebody give you something that you already have?
Right. Or take it away.
Or take away what you already have. So this idea of respect is incorrect. The normal idea of respect, thinking that someone is disrespecting you. Once you understand, I have respect. It's something I was born with.
Yes.
No one can disrespect you.
No one.
So that's the lesson I want to give to you guys today. Take that wisdom bomb. It's all yours. Use it to blow up some other people's minds with it. But just know that as long as you have self-respect, you can never be disrespected. All right. Yeah. I love you guys. Thank you so much for having me on, Queen. We'll talk again soon.
Yes, darling.
All right, darling. Love you, baby.
Hold on 1 second. Ladies and gentlemen, you have heard the vocal stylings and the story of Patreq. Bye, darling.
Bye, darling. Thank you.
Thank you.